chapter 11, verse 27. Now these are the descendants of Terah. Terah was the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran was the father of Lot. Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his birth, in Ur of the Chaldeans. Abram and Nahor took wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah. She was the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah and Iscah. Now Sarai was barren. She had no child. Terah took his son Abram and his grandson Lot, son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, his son Abram's wife, and they went out together from Ur of the Chaldeans to go into the land of Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. The days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. Now the Lord said to Abram, "Go from your land and your kindred, and your father's house, to the land I will show you. I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you, and your name great, so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you I will curse, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed." So Abram went as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. Abram took his wife Sarai and his brother's son Lot and all the possessions they had gathered and the persons whom they had acquired in Haran, and they set forth to go to the land of Canaan. When they had come to the land of Canaan, Abram passed through the land to the place at Shechem, to the oak at Morah. At that time the Canaanites were in the land. Then the Lord appeared to Abram and said, "To your offspring I will give this land." So he built there an altar to the Lord who had appeared to him. From there he moved on to the hill country on the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. And there he built an altar to the Lord and invoked the name of the Lord. And Abram journeyed on by stages toward the Negev. This is the word of the Lord. All right. Let's see. Georgia. All right. So we've read then from Genesis, and we a lot of times start that story just with the call of Abraham, but I feel like we had to start a little bit before that. That there is some significance to this idea that Sarah was barren. I don't think the Bible would emphasize that, would say it twice, and she was barren, she had no child. I don't think the Bible would take the time to point that out to us if there was not some connection being made between that and the fact that they would eventually be the father of the world, father and mother of the world. I might call it Creation 2.0, if you're one of those computer people. We've come from Genesis 1, where God makes order out of chaos, takes nothingness and makes creation out of it. And then you go through this whole series of trials. You have Adam and Eve, another creation story, not meant to repair creation, but to tell it from a different point of view, from the human point of view. And you've got them then fail God and begin the whole process of human sin. From that you go into Cain killing his brother Abel, and from that into Noah and his family being the only ones righteous enough to save the world, to bring on that ark, the creation, and keep it going. But they too fail, and that leads right into Babel, where the people of Babel, like as it all began, those who thought they could enjoy the knowledge of good and evil. The people of Babel thought they could build themselves to a place where they were on God's plane, where they were, if not big God, at least little gods too. And out of that, God spreads the people across the earth, confuses their language, keeps them from being able to do the things they thought they wanted to do, from being the little gods they thought they were. The world has dissolved once again into chaos. That same kind of chaos that was there at the beginning when God made order out of chaos, created the world, days 1 through 6. And out of that chaotic state, out of that barrenness, out of that, is there going to be a future at all for God's creation? You get, and there was this man named Abram, and there was this woman named Sarah, who was barren. She had no children. I think there's a reason the Scriptures point us from order through chaos and back to a new start, creation 2.0. Something else is going to happen in God's time. It is to this family that God appears, as he did in that first creation story. And God comes to them without introduction, without invitation. As he did in that first creation story, God simply appears and announces himself and plucks up Abram and says, "You go. Go to the land I have shown you. Go do the things that I will give you to do. And I will make your name great. I will bless you so that you can be a blessing to others." That's how this God is. We've seen it now for 12 chapters. God enters into chaos. He brings order. He enters into barrenness and brings life. He blesses those who are willing to be a blessing to others. If you're here today and your life feels chaotic or barren or like a downward spiral, I think these stories tell us to take heart. God's people have been through that before. Take heart. God has always been in those situations. And take heart, because you may well be the one God plucks up next to say, despite what you've come out of, you are called to go be a blessing to someone else. Today's story, Abram and Sarai leave the land they've known, the place they've known, the place of their comfort and their family and their home, to go and bless others. God in his graciousness refuses to sit back and allow this wonderful world that he's created to dissolve into further chaos. God will not watch the world collapse in on itself. And even though their life isn't what they hoped for, barrenness in the ancient world was a source of grief and a source of embarrassment. Even though their life was not what they had hoped it would be, Abram and Sarai go. In God's initiative, they are made to go and do what God has for them. What God proposes, they accept. They go to a land they had never seen because they believed that which they had not seen. The very definition of faith, according to Hebrews, they have lived out. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. I want to tell you about a few modern examples of this. There's a church in Ginghamsburg, Ohio, who in 1979 grew from 90 members to 60 members when their new pastor, Mike Slaughter, showed up. He was brash, and he had a vision of things they had never thought of before. And there were lots of conflicts until those 30 decided they had to go elsewhere. And the other 60 were either so worn out or so indifferent that they stuck around. A few actually saw the vision he saw. In the intervening years, God blessed that vision. And now over 5,000 people worship on that campus in rural Ginghamsburg, north of Dayton, Ohio. It's a place where there's an indoor skate park that youth want to be at on a Friday night. It's a place where they bus persons from inner city Dayton to job resourcing workshops that they help provide. It's a place where those who like to work on cars go improve single mothers' cars so that they can keep their jobs, have what they need. It's a place that has sent millions, literally, of dollars in the last 5 years to the Sudan to help with agricultural and ministry needs there. All from a church that grew from 90 to 60 a little over 30 years ago. It happened because Mike Slaughter and a few others had a vision to go to a place where no one had imagined, a place that they had not seen, but that God made possible because they were willing to go. There are two churches in Pace, Florida. One's United Methodist, one is a Church of God. They are side by side. They share kind of the property in between. 5 years ago, like we do, they decided to collect some school supplies and distribute those to the children in the community so they could have a good start to school. That went from inviting a few people in to receive those supplies to becoming a kind of festival. A festival for which they are now known. They compare this festival to the county fair, and people will drive from as far as 60 miles to go to this school supplies festival. As they committed to in the beginning, the church members are the ones who provide the supplies. But they've reached out to others who can help do other things, like the hairstylist school that provides free haircuts for people getting started that year. They've reached out to those who will entertain balloon rides and stage performances. They've offered medical screenings so that people can start the school year at least knowing what's going on and hopefully getting the care they need. Those two small churches, each have less than 100 in worship each week, have 4,500 people show up for their school supplies festival that weekend every year. Not far from here, about an hour, there's a Methodist church in Prosperity, South Carolina. In the last 3 years has grown from around 200 in worship to over 400 in worship. They've done that by offering new worship experiences. They've done that by seeking out people they can help. One year they were charged to contribute for missions the same amount they put into their Christmas giving. It's that your birthday is your birthday, Christmas is Jesus' birthday thing. That year, $39,000 came in to be used exclusively for repairing homes in their community. That church has not abandoned who they were as a congregation, but they have also not been enslaved to who they were. They have simply listened to where God has pointed them and sought out how they could be a blessing to others. In each of these cases, and I hope we will recognize that in many, many more, don't let all the hype about the death of the mainstream church fool you. There are plenty of churches just like these. In each of these cases, the churches simply realize that they are blessed to be a blessing. And when they reach out to bless others, God blesses them in that. It's how these churches have continued to go to places others could not have imagined. God said go. And despite how unlikely things appeared, despite how barren their past may have been, despite how unknown the terrain of the future was, or how chaotic their lives had been, God said go, and they went. They believe that there is something in God's economy that fills empty spirits and bears new life and blesses those who seek to be a blessing to others. They, like Father Abraham, were willing to go to a new land that will be the place of their future, despite having only known the landscape of the past. They were willing to believe